Hi everyone, I just saw Caught Stealing, Darren Aronofsky's new film with Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz and Matt Smith. It's great, it's funny, it's colourful, it's clever, it's sad, you really should see it. Here's what's great about it. It is set visibly in a world, obviously, of the 90s, which is presented as an unfallen world, like a world where we hadn't yet experienced the horrors of the 21st century, especially in New York, where it's set. The very first shot is of the Twin Towers. So you know that we are in a pre-space. We're pre the fall, basically. The fall of the towers, but also it's kind of, what literary critics pretentiously call prelapsarian, like it's kind of like paradise to live before these things happened, especially in the West, especially in New York. It's a world where violence, and there's a lot of it in this film, is intense and extreme, but it's also survivable in a magic kind of cartoonish way for most of the characters. Austin Butler plays a washed-up former high school and college baseball star. Americans will have to correct me if I've got that wrong. I'm not really on top of my terminology about what kind of age and stage he'd have been at, but something happened, something important, caused by him, which injured him, killed someone else, and foreshortened his career. That's not a big spoiler because you're told that about 10 minutes into the film. And then from there, we get this sort of story of how he's moved to New York. He's met, because his life is not that bad, Zoe Kravitz, who's a paramedic, and he's working as a barman in a kind of dive bar, Smash Mouth playing 24/7. It's 1998. His extremely broadly characterized English neighbour, who Matt Smith plays him as a kind of generic English person who could be from almost anywhere in this country and changes character and accent about 5 times, but never mind that. He is obviously mixed up in something, and through leaving a cat with the central character, which is a more complicated gift than it seems, the central character, Austin Butler's character, gets sucked into this criminal underworld. And from that point on, he's running for his life. The whole film is the story of him evading, escaping, getting mixed up in the world of these criminals, and also with the police. So it's basically a caper, and it's true to the spirit of the caper, because although there's vast violence and hardly 5 minutes goes by without someone getting their head bashed in, it never feels heavy because of the cartoonish, hyper-saturated palette that Aronofsky is so good at using. But it also doesn't feel heartless, because Austin Butler, who I think gives here his best performance since Elvis, brings a tenderness to the film. He has this cat with him, and at one important point, one character says to him, "You and the cat have the same eyes." And it's this feeling of the openness, the frankness, but also the slyness of cats' eyes. Cats sometimes seem like they're panicked and they've been traumatized, but they're also kind of poised and in control. And that's what this character feels like. He's feline in that way. He therefore is double-edged morally. He's someone who's going to try to do good things, but actually everywhere he goes, people keep dying. So it's almost like watching a beautiful living curse, because he kind of looks like an angel in this film, the way that he's been written, the way that he's been dressed, the careful use of his hair. His physicality and charisma are massively used in this film, and it's kind of painterly. It's almost like he's, as I say, angelic or a spiritual being. The way that they've used the lighting, the way they've used the colour and the movement, but then at the same time he's a kind of living curse. Everyone who gets close to him gets hurt. I thought that the film carried brilliantly. I mean, what a craftsman Aronofsky is, to carry that moral seriousness, that feeling of precarious innocence that might at any point be about to collapse, like the innocence of the US. I mean, this is the underlying analogy. Round the corner we have a disaster that's about to strike, and cast all of this petty criminality into the shade. But at the same time, that innocence is already besmirched, it's already sad, it's already destroyed. And Austin Butler carries that beautifully. He moves with the agility of a cat. He and the cat form this bond. It almost felt at times like a Murakami novel. It has that kind of surreality and that kind of rather thin roles for women, but extremely well. Actually, there's one really good role for a woman in this, which is a police officer. So I shouldn't say that. But the girlfriend is kind of just a girlfriend. She's like supportive, loving, will put up with anything, and that's kind of her character. But at the same time, the real bond is between the man and the cat. The cat that's an extension of himself, and he kind of moves through the world with this kind of muzzy hopefulness, and it just really made me think of Murakami at times. It's actually based on a novel by an American novelist whose name I can't remember. I'll put it in the comments. But it has a kind of Shaggy Dog story feeling. It doesn't follow a straightforward narrative path. The only place that really shows up as a problem is when we get Matt Smith's character. And God bless him, he does a really good job with the script, but he's written to be a walking plot device. If you are going to make something this baggy and shaggy, somewhere it's going to show up in the characterization, and I think that's where it showed up. But who cares? The central character, there are two central characters, actually three to this film. One is Austin Butler, one is the cat, and one is the city. It's a man, a cat, and a city, and all three of them are on the verge of something horrific, but all three of them are resilient survivors. They're agile, they're beautiful, and they're a little bit wicked. And I think that Aronofsky captures that beautifully in this film. Everything about the way he shot it, the opening shot of the camera curling and falling down into the city and picking out a particular dive bar to focus on, is just brilliant. And all through the film it has that agile use of the camera, that use of hyper-saturated colour palettes that you saw in Mother and Noah and his less successful films, but which comes through here in this beautifully balanced fusion of creativity, love of life, violence, horror and comedy. It takes a real master, I think, to balance all those things, and it takes a fantastic lead performance from Austin Butler to carry it off. So I recommend it. Go see.